Now, of course, as we expect the budget reading tomorrow, the Uhuru budget has put the country's economic growth target at 6%, and for this and a host of other promises envisioned in Vision 2030 blueprint to be achieved, the country has to cut down on inefficiencies at various key sectors, and tonight, KTN's Bonney Tunya puts that into perspective.
Budget 2013-2014 in association with ICEA Line Group.
Kenya, since independence, has enjoyed only a few occasions where its GDP growth exceeded the 5% mark for 3 consecutive years, and reforms since the year 2000 have improved its economic fundamentals, with the year 2007 standing out when the economy registered a 7% growth. The Uhuru Kenyatta administration has also set its growth target at the magical 6% figure.
It is without doubt that Kenya is a country of immense economic potential, going by the number of the recent discoveries of natural resources as well as the multinationals that are setting shop in the country. However, the cost of inefficiency remains an ever-present need to the country's economic prosperity.
Economists at the World Bank have repeatedly recommended that were Kenya to rise from the ashes of economic stagnation, 4 key areas needed to be urgently looked into. These are optimization of the railway system, privatization of the port of Mombasa, cutting energy costs, as well as fiscal discipline in government spending. The country's transport sector contributes 8% of the country's GDP. Data from the Kenya Shippers Council indicate that transportation of cargo by railway is 70% cheaper than road, bearing in mind the heavy cost of road construction and maintenance. Currently, Kenya's cost of transporting export goods is 60% higher than the US and 30% higher than South Africa, both countries having an established railway system. Privatization of the port of Mombasa is long overdue. The port has registered a dismal 3% annual growth in contrast to the steady rise in container traffic. Data from the Kenya Ports Authority indicates it currently takes about 13 days to clear goods at the port due to cumbersome clearance processes as compared to the Singapore port that only takes 4 hours. Despite the politics involved, privatization of the port will enable commercialization of the shipping berths, modernization of the shipping channels to allow for larger ships, as well as shortening of the clearance process. The clock is clearly ticking, as currently there are reports that Kenya is losing business to neighboring Dar es Salaam due to inefficiencies at the port of Mombasa. The cost of running industries in Kenya continues to grow, attributed to high energy cost. As it stands, over 40% of the country's import bill results from the purchase of petroleum products. This, coupled with an erratic weather pattern that has seen power generating company KenGen use diesel to pump electricity, a phenomenon that has handed manufacturers and consumers the short end of the stick. According to the Energy Regulatory Commission, the economy has spent up to 13.5 billion shillings in imports of petroleum products. More specifically, the economy loses up to 5.6 billion shillings per year due to inefficiencies at the refinery. The Kenya Petroleum and Refineries Limited lack adequate storage capacity, meaning the country has to purchase petroleum products even when global crude prices are unfavorable. Yet another key area of wastage is fiscal indiscipline. Traditionally, 70% of the country's budget goes to recurrent expenditure, with a paltry 30% allocated for development projects, a trend that has crippled key infrastructural development, thus hampering the pace of economic growth. This year's budget will see this worsen, with a huge bill for constitutional implementation as well as the rollout of devolved system of government. Already, the Division of Revenue has come under contestation, pitting the Senate on one side against the National Assembly and the Executive on the other. There is also the little matter of redundant constitutional commissions, all that need substantial funding to meet their wage bill. All is not lost, however, as Kenya has maintained a competitive exchange rate, largely contained inflation, and managed its debt responsibly despite a challenging external environment.